How's it going, everyone? Today's topic, we're talking about the Monument to Lost Lights. If you are a new light player or someone who's kind of figuring out what exotic weapons you want to get early on with maybe limited ciphers, this is kind of the video for you. I've been here myself, and I've kind of bought some of these items with exotic ciphers, and I kind of feel like I've wasted some of them. So I want to make sure I can give some information out that'll help people get the idea of like what should I get to start with, or I'm new to the game, I'm unsure what the best exotics are. This is the video to kind of help you out and give you a kind of run through what I recommend. So with the Red War exotics, which are the first items on the top left here, the two weapons I'd recommend from here is Sleeper Stimulant or Legend of Acreus. Legend of Acreus is a little harder to get because you have Spoils of Conquest. You're going to have to do a lot more raids for it. It's not necessary, but it's kind of a big meta item right now for PvE, for boss damage. But these two items are kind of the only two I'd really get from Red War. Whisper of the Worm does a lot of really good damage, but it's a sniper rifle, so it'd be a little bit harder to use, as rockets are kind of the best way for raid damage currently. But again, any of these items could be playstyle. If you find something that's like, oh, I really like sidearms, or I really like hand cannons or pulse rifles, then go down that path, try these out, see what works for you. As they're whatever. Mainly the exotic you want to get first is kind of what you want to play, what play style you like want to play as multiple of these exotics. Some will be good in PvP, some will be good in PvE, some will be good in higher or easier content, depends on what the weapon is. For the Forsaken pack, I recommend, if you're a PvP player, big into PvP, the Le Monarch or the Jotun. These two are very, very good. Jotun is kind of it seems like a troll item for a lot of people, where you can kind of one-shot people with the two shots, which you get in this PvP. So it is very strong. People get really mad, so you want to make people really mad, that's the way to do it. Or with the Le Monarch, as a combat bow, you can shoot it once with another hand cannon as your secondary weapon. Hit one shot with Le Monarch, switch to your hand cannon to do one shot. It should be like almost a one-shot combo. So these two are very good. For PvE, I recommend Ixani's Burden. This one does a very large amount of damage, as it you consume your magazine and you load like one bullet, and it does like 150,000 damage in one shot. You can pair this very well with like a bait and switch rocket launcher or whatnot. So if you're looking for a lot of single target and you like or really good boss damage, you like sniper rifles, this may be the weapon for you. Every other item hasn't really been tuned in a while, as they've had some minor buffs, but they haven't been seen enough to where they make a big difference. If you have a lot of spoils, as maybe a new player, you may not. Maybe as an existing player, you may. You can get this is the best vehicle in the game for stability and whatnot for driving around. But you don't really need one. You kind of get them as the battle pass goes, or other methods. So for the Shadowkeep exotic seems to have majority of the best ones. Right, you have Leviathan's Breath, which I would say is one of the best meta picks. If you're a solo player, this is a very, very good item. It does a lot of damage. The Catalyst is very beneficial for this, where it gives it more increased draw time, or reduces the draw time as you hit precision shots, and then gives you more ammo, which is very beneficial for Grandmasters or Lost Sectors or whatnot. Where in raid you won't need the extra ammo probably, but it's always a beneficial, right? Iriana's Vow is situational. If you need anti-barrier, you don't have it. Along with Bastion, these two are kind of situational. If you need an item that just does unstoppables, or this takes care of barriers, these two items are very helpful for that. And then the other exotic that everyone loves to use is Witherhoard. This one is probably my favorite for PvE, PvP, kind of universal. It just does a lot of damage. It's nice to use. When you get the catalyst for it, it auto reloads, so it's a very beneficial item, right? So if you want to get this, if you want to get a first weapon, this is probably my #1 pick. Just for something that's kind of used for a variety of things. It's very smooth, and it just does a lot of damage. The only issue with the Witherhoard is if you have multiple people running it, and like a raid boss, it only counts for one Witherhoard per as it's up on the boss. So you need to have one directly on the target, and then one to be on the boss's feet. Doesn't always work the most. So if one person has Witherhoard, you'd want to use something else. So that's the only thing I would say that takes away from the Witherhoard, is if you're playing with group content, one person should have it, not everyone should have it. Other than that, the Ruinous Effigy is a fun weapon. I'm not going to say the best weapon, but it is something fun. You can turn your enemies into spheres and then run hit other people with that sphere and blow them up. So it's kind of an interesting play style. And then you have the Fourth Horseman, which is a shotgun that shoots really fast, does a lot of damage. So that's another play style. If you like shotguns, that's maybe the item for you also. Beyond Light, the only weapon I'd recommend here for this season, of Season 21, was the Agar Scepter, as it is a trace rifle, so it works with overload. It also freezes targets, so it can take care of unstoppables and get 2 people, 2 types at once. And the other ones are not really going to match up very often, whereas linear fusion rifles, sidearms, and combat bows aren't really in the meta currently or working very well, so these would need a little bit of a tuning. As your artifact weapon kind of depends on, affects some of your decisions on what weapons you want to run. As this season's artifacts are focused on auto rifles, hand cannons, overloads, trace rifles, scout rifles, trace rifles, and glaives. So you kind of want to run one of these items if your subclass can't handle it already, to solve the issue of dealing with champions. But again, that depends on the content you're playing. If you're just playing content that's you're playing lower level Nightfalls or PvP and such, you can kind of run a variety of weapons. But if you're looking for something that's going to get you into higher groups and get you through lost sectors or get you more gear, then this is the kind of the video I'm recommending here. For the Witch Queen, I would recommend the Grand Overture. As it being an arc weapon, it does a lot of damage. It is a very fun weapon to use. You can use it for a variety of content. It's add clear, and then you can you can use it as add clear, which will stack up 20 rockets, and then you can alternate fire and shoot all those rockets at a big target and do a lot of damage. This one has very good ammo economy, so this is a really good one. Also, it has, with its catalyst, it does do blinding effects, which will take care of unstoppables for you. So it is a pretty good weapon for this season, and for close range combat or something if you don't have something. So this is a really easy one to get with the exotic Cypher. You will see a lot of videos of Delicate Tomb. I would not recommend this item. It just generates ionic traces. You can do that yourself if you're arc, and if you're not arc, it doesn't have any benefit at all, and it does very low damage. So from testing, I would not recommend that. Probably the number one weapon besides the Wither Horde is for this season. If you are a new player and you do not have anything and you have Lightfall, this is the weapon for you. It is an auto rifle, so it has anti-barrier this season. It is currently showing as kinetic. When you get the catalyst, it turns into a strand weapon, which is awesome as a primary weapon it'll be strand. There's some surges that'll happen with strand. It also will it has 2 different alternate fires, so it has the primary fire, which when you're shooting, it just shoots rockets at the target also, as you're consistently firing on a target. And then when those rockets do damage, it gives you grenade charges, and so you can switch your fire to 3 grenade, which become a grenade launcher as an auto rifle. It still keeps those anti-barrier traits, as it is the gun in total is an auto rifle. So it'll do anti-barrier with the grenade launcher, so it does a lot of damage to champions. So if you're destroying a barrier champion, you can shoot 1 grenade launcher, it'll destroy the shield, stun the champion, and then you can shoot the other 2, and you can do a lot of the damage to the champion, maybe kill it, depending on the level of your content. But this weapon is amazing. And with those grenade launcher kills, it'll then give you a tangle. So if you're playing a Strand Titan, for example, this is the weapon for you. It is the anti-barrier. It gives you tangles, allows you to suspend more champions, suspend more people. It is awesome. So this is a very beneficial one for actually literally all champions, especially if you're running Strand. This is the weapon for you. The tangles are really nice also, because if it spawns a tangle and your teammate is Strand, maybe you're not, they can pick up that, get the benefit from their class with that. So that's so it's really nice. The Verglas Curve is only really good if stasis is kind of a surge, or bows are part of the artifact. It is very fun weapon to use. Not the most beneficial, but there's definitely some builds you got to do with it to kind of get working. This would be the best on a stasis warlock in my opinion, but it is fun but not very useful. So that concludes the exotic Cypher use. I would recommend that you always get a gun here rather than going back to Zur and using the exotic Cypher to reroll for an armor piece, because it won't really give you a gun most of the time. So I would recommend getting all these guns if you're going to use your Cyphers. Once you're out of guns, then go back to Zur and use it for a random roll at that point. But definitely test the weapons out, find out which ones you want. There are some preferences, but most of the time it's just feel. Find a gun or a weapon that really fits your playstyle, because ultimately it's all about how you want to play the game. And then if you wanted a legacy gear, you can always come out here and use your Ascendant shards and buy one of these kind of statted pieces. There are some pretty good ones, like Null Composure is a really good one. Crybeam is pretty good. Ecliptic Staff, the name does not match. I've had the name longer than the staff, so I'll put that out there. And then there's other weapons on here that have some pretty good stats. So you could find one like, if you don't have a arc machine gun, Overflow Killing Tally, very, very good. It only costs you some Glimmer, and some Legendary Shards, some Prisms, and Ascendant Shards. You can get all these stuff from playing the game, casually. Lost Sectors or Nightfalls or whatnot. You can get this from doing it. So there's some pretty good weapons in here. But if you have any questions or any feedback or anything, put it in the comments below. Like, subscribe, be very preferred. I do appreciate it. Appreciate it. I do stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/eclipticprime. Other than that, you have a great day. Thank you.